When working in a high-rise apartment building, especially one above 25 floors, there are several electrical code considerations to keep in mind, especially since you're dealing with a remodel where appliances, lights, and receptacles are being replaced and relocated, but no new circuits are being added. Firstly, it's essential to understand the National Electrical Code or NEC, specifically Article 210.19, which covers requirements for high-rise buildings. This includes systems such as smoke detection and alarm systems, emergency lighting, firefighter smoke control systems, and emergency communications systems. Secondly, regarding the existing Federal Pacific Electric or FPE panel, it's crucial to recognize the safety concerns associated with these panels. FPE panels have been linked to electrical fires due to faulty breakers. Replacing the FPE breakers may reduce the risk, but it does not eliminate the inherent safety issues with the panel itself. In some jurisdictions, there may be a requirement to inform the building owner and tenants about the potential hazards of FPE panels. It's essential to check local regulations to determine if this is necessary. When working with an FPE panel, it is recommended to advise them regarding the FPE panel. Replacement of the FPE breakers does not remove the danger. In terms of code compliance for the kitchen remodel, the work should adhere to NEC requirements for kitchen circuits. This includes providing a dedicated 20-amp circuit for appliances and a 15-amp circuit for lighting and receptacles. The new kitchen appliances should be on the dedicated 20-amp circuit. The lights and receptacles in the kitchen should be on the 15-amp circuit. It is important to ensure that the total load on each circuit does not exceed the circuit rating. When doing electrical work, verifying that there are working smoke detectors in the kitchen and throughout the apartment is essential. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is required for outlets in wet or damp areas, such as the kitchen sink. You should install adequate lighting to ensure a safe and comfortable work environment. Also, provide sufficient ventilation to prevent fumes and odors from accumulating in the confined kitchen space. Remember to verify the local electrical codes to see what is necessary. Always shut off power to a circuit before working on it, using appropriate personal protective equipment and following safety procedures. Check that the wiring is in good condition and replace any damaged or worn-out components. When installing new wiring, use the appropriate size and type of wire for the intended application. Ensure all connections are tight and secure. Properly ground all electrical equipment. Test all circuits and equipment after installation to ensure they are working properly. Use caution around water and other conductive materials. Do not overload circuits. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work, hire a qualified electrician. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions for all electrical equipment and components. Keep your work area clean and organized. Dispose of electrical waste properly. Remember to keep up to date with the latest electrical codes and safety standards. When working with electrical panels, be sure to identify all circuits before beginning work. Use a voltage tester to ensure that the circuit is de-energized. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Use insulated tools. Be careful when working around energized equipment. Do not touch any exposed wires or terminals. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical work, consult with a qualified electrician. Remember, safety is always the top priority. The NEC provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical installations, but it's important to be aware of local amendments or additional regulations that may be in place. Check with the local authority having jurisdiction (OJ) to ensure compliance with all applicable codes. Before starting any electrical work, it's crucial to perform a thorough inspection of the existing electrical system. This includes checking the condition of the wiring, connections, and devices. Look for any signs of damage, such as frayed wires, loose connections, or cracked insulation. If any issues are found, they should be addressed before proceeding with the remodel. When replacing receptacles, use tamper-resistant receptacles in areas where children are present. These receptacles have a built-in safety mechanism that prevents children from inserting objects into the slots. When installing lighting fixtures, ensure that they are properly supported and securely mounted. Use the appropriate type of mounting hardware for the application. If installing recessed lighting, ensure that the fixtures are IC rated, which means they are approved for contact with insulation. When running new wiring, follow the NEC guidelines for wire routing and support. Use cable staples or ties to secure the wiring to the building structure. Avoid running wiring through areas where it could be damaged or exposed to moisture. When making electrical connections, use the appropriate type of connectors for the application. Ensure that the connectors are properly tightened and that the wires are securely connected. Do not use wire nuts on solid wire or vice versa. When working with aluminum wiring, use connectors that are specifically designed for use with aluminum. Aluminum wiring expands and contracts more than copper wiring, so special connectors are needed to prevent loose connections. When installing electrical equipment, such as appliances, follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation and grounding. Ensure that the equipment is properly grounded to prevent electrical shock. When working with electrical panels, be sure to label all circuits clearly. This will make it easier to identify circuits in the future and will help prevent accidental shutdowns. When working with electrical equipment, be sure to use the appropriate type of tools for the job. Use insulated tools to prevent electrical shock. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from flying debris. When working with ladders, be sure to use a ladder that is in good condition and that is properly supported. Do not stand on the top step of the ladder. When working in confined spaces, be sure to have adequate ventilation. Avoid working alone in confined spaces. When working in damp or wet areas, be sure to use GFCI protection. GFCI protection will help to prevent electrical shock. When working with electricity, be sure to take your time and work carefully. Do not rush. If you are unsure about anything, ask for help. Remember, electricity can be dangerous. Always follow safety precautions to protect yourself and others. Working on a 12-circuit panel with no main breaker presents its own set of challenges. Without a main breaker, it can be difficult to quickly de-energize the entire panel in case of an emergency. It's crucial to have a clear understanding of each circuit and its corresponding breaker. Before starting any work, identify the breaker that controls the circuit you'll be working on and verify that it's properly labeled. Use a reliable voltage tester to confirm that the circuit is de-energized before touching any wires or component. If the panel is old and in poor condition, it may be necessary to replace it entirely. This is especially true if the panel is an FPE panel, as these panels have been shown to have a higher risk of failure. When replacing an electrical panel, it's important to choose a panel that is appropriately sized for the electrical load of the building. The panel should have enough circuits to accommodate all of the existing circuits, as well as any future circuits that may be needed. It's also important to choose a panel that is listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or UL. When installing a new electrical panel, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The panel should be mounted securely to the wall and all wiring connections should be made according to the NEC. Once the new panel is installed, it's important to label all of the circuits clearly. This will make it easier to identify circuits in the future and will help prevent accidental shutdowns. When working on electrical systems, it's important to be aware of the potential for arc flash. Arc flash is a dangerous electrical explosion that can occur when a short circuit occurs in the air. Arc flash can cause serious burns, injuries, and even death. To protect yourself from arc flash, it's important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as a face shield, gloves, and fire-resistant clothing. It's also important to use insulated tools and to follow safe work practices. When working on electrical equipment, it's important to be aware of the potential for electrical shock. Electrical shock can occur when you come into contact with an energized conductor. Electrical shock can cause serious injuries and even death. To protect yourself from electrical shock, it's important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses. It's also important to use insulated tools and to follow safe work practices. When working with electricity, it's important to be aware of the potential for fire. The electrical fires can occur when electrical wiring or equipment overheats. Electrical fires can cause serious damage to property and even death. To prevent electrical fires, it's important to follow safe wiring practices and to use properly sized circuit breakers and fuses. It's also important to have your electrical system inspected regularly by a qualified electrician. When working with electricity, it's important to be aware of the potential for explosions. Explosions can occur when flammable gases or vapors are present in the air. Explosions can cause serious damage to property and even death. To prevent explosions, it's important to avoid working with electricity in areas where flammable gases or vapors are present. It's also important to ensure that electrical equipment is properly grounded and that there are no sources of ignition in the area. Working on an existing electrical system can be challenging. With careful planning, preparation, and a focus on safety, it is possible to complete the job successfully. By following these guidelines, one can minimize the risks and ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation.